Hey, folks, good morning and welcome to another episode of Steelers Morning Rush. I'm Alan Saunders. It is Friday, October 4th. The Steelers will finish their preparations for their Week 5 home game against the Dallas Cowboys today on the south side of UPMC Rooney Sports Complex. I will be there with more video from practice a little bit later, and then Derek Bell and Zachary Smith will bring you home, wrap up the week with their Friday episode of Steelers Afternoon Drive at about 6 o'clock. I'm going to talk about one matchup from the Steelers-Cowboys game today, break it down, and then give my prediction for this game on this episode. So make sure you like, subscribe, hit that bell for notifications so you don't miss anything here on the Steelers YouTube channel. If you are listening somewhere else, subscribe to that YouTube feed, leave us a 5-star, that podcast feed, give us a 5-star review, and make sure you go check out all my written work at SteelersNow.com. For this episode, I'm talking about one matchup, and here's how I will start this with a story. This is how important this matchup is to the Pittsburgh Steelers. There are a couple of players on the other team every week that when the Steelers on the scout team portray, they will wear a penny over their normal Steelers uniform that has the number of the player that they are portraying. So, I wasn't paying attention to who it was, but somebody out there is probably Brandon Johnson is wearing an 88, for CeeDee Lamb, and someone out there is wearing a 1 for Jalen Tolbert, right? And this is how dedicated they do it on offense and defense. This is how dedicated the Steelers are to making sure they shut down the topic of this discussion, though. 87 is Cowboys tight end Jake Ferguson. He was being portrayed by Steelers tight end Rodney Williams, who is number 87, but he was wearing an 87 penny over his 87. They were doubly sure. We got to know where 87 is. That normal Steelers 87 is not enough. He's got to be wearing this blaze red penny that with number 87 on it, so that the Steelers know exactly where he is on the field. This is an important matchup for a couple of reasons. Let's talk about it from the Cowboys' perspective first and foremost. Brandon Cooks, the team's number 2 wide receiver, out for this game. With some kind of infection in his leg after a minor procedure. Hate to see that. Going to be CeeDee Lamb, of course, and they do move him around a lot, inside and outside. Plays in the slot probably more than any other quote-unquote star receiver, except for maybe Tyreek Hill. He's certainly a guy that is hard to follow. Terrell Austin said that Joey Porter Jr. is probably not going to follow him around this game. I'm interested to see what the plan is there. I'm having a hard time envisioning another one that involves a lot of man coverage. It's probably going to be some zone. And for CeeDee Lamb, that feels appropriate, right? Let someone take him deep and let someone take him short. But zone coverage across the board is going to leave a ton of opportunities for a big athletic tight end like Jake Ferguson. That's number 87. That's who I'm focused on here. And I think Dak Prescott over the years has been a player that has leaned on his tight ends a lot. Dalton Schultz, of course, was there until 2022. And Ferguson, who was a 2022 draft pick, started last year in 2023, finished 8th among NFL tight ends in receiving yards, and I think is well on his way to becoming an important part of this offense. Has 16 catches on 23 targets and has only played 3 games so far in the first 4 weeks of the season. So 159 yards. Also, very important target in the red zone for Dallas, had 5 touchdowns last year. We talked about this a lot from a Steelers perspective this offseason as well, is that a lot of the Steelers replaced a lot of their tight end coverage options, right? They brought in Patrick Queen. They brought in Payton Wilson. They brought in DeShon Elliott. They have Beanie Bishop in the slot. These are all new pieces. And how they and they have not really been tested in this way yet. Certainly Kyle Pitts is a dangerous tight end. He's not as big of a part of the Atlanta passing offense, nor is he the same kind of player. You almost have to treat Kyle Pitts like a wide receiver because of his athleticism. Jake Ferguson is very much the traditional tight end. Like whatever the Steelers plan for Mark Andrews and for David Njoku, you can line it out for Jake Ferguson as well. I thought the Steelers did pretty well against Pitts in that first game. I think this is a little bit more of it's not as difficult of a matchup in terms of the athlete, but I think it's a more difficult matchup in terms of how much of the Dallas game plan is going to go through number 87. I'm really interested to see. I didn't think this group of players that we're talking about, maybe outside of DeShon Elliott, had a very good week last week. I thought Payton Wilson got picked on in the passing game. I thought his zone spots looked a little lit off. Patrick Queen, I think his man coverage is great, but he hasn't been tackling as well as I expected him to be. And Beanie Bishop, had a missed assignment and also gave up another pass in trail coverage. I think he can be better as well. The way this group attacks Jake Ferguson or is attacked by Jake Ferguson is going to be really important. The Cowboys can't lean on Cooks. They do have Tolbert, who's an okay secondary option. There's going to be a lot of defensive focus on CeeDee Lamb. There will be less defensive focus on Jake Ferguson. These guys, whoever it is, are going to have to get this done without a ton of help. And I think that, to me, is the Cowboys are dead last in the NFL in rushing. Rico Dowdle is their primary guy. He's not very good. He's a better receiver than he is a running back. They can use him in some similar ways to Ferguson and get him out of the backfield and throw it to him. But in terms of the running game, the Steelers should not be afraid. And they're going to devote a lot of resources to stopping CeeDee Lamb and not letting him get deep, keeping a lid on it, as Mike Tomlin likes to say. That's going to leave room for Jake Ferguson to operate. It's going to be a difficult assignment for whoever gets it. I would personally put Patrick Queen on him, but we'll see what the Steelers decide to do. But I think this is an important matchup. CeeDee Lamb is going to get his. He's too good to not. But I think the Steelers will refuse to let him take over the game. However, that is going to give Ferguson a lot more opportunities. And I think if Queen can do this, that would be a really nice feather in the cap, so to speak. After a kind of up and down first 4 games, he hasn't been bad necessarily, but we haven't really seen a huge impact from 6 either, in a way I think a lot of people thought when the Steelers first signed him. This is certainly an opportunity. Okay, let's get into a game prediction. The Steelers are 4-1 right now, coming off a loss to the Indianapolis Colts. I did not quite expect them to be this good at this point in the season. I did have them losing to the Colts before the season, even though I predicted them to win that game last week, and I thought they would lose to the Falcons in week 1. By the way, the Falcons look awesome. They won on Thursday Night Football, and their only loss since getting fairly dismantled by the Steelers was a 5-point loss to the Kansas City Chiefs. I had this one down as a loss too, but I think the absence of Micah Parsons changes things dramatically. You can cite TJ Watt's, the Steelers' record without TJ Watt. Now, we don't know what the Cowboys' record is without Micah Parsons because he's never missed a game, but I think that is going to be a big impact in this one. I think the Steelers will be able to run the ball. I don't think the Cowboys will be able to run the ball. I think you're going to have a one-dimensional Dallas offense, and they will have some success, but I don't think they're going to be able to sustain it. I think the Steelers can actually win this one fairly easily if they can get a couple turnovers. They've dropped a bunch of interceptions on defense. I feel like they're close, and so I think the Steelers will get that. Dak doesn't really turn the ball over that much, but I think the one-dimensionality of the Cowboys' offense is going to force him to throw the ball more than he wants to. I think the fact that the Steelers can blanket Lamb and Ferguson will make him force the ball into some places that he doesn't necessarily want to. And I think the Steelers will get some turnovers out of this Cowboys team. I'm predicting a rare, fairly easy Pittsburgh Steelers win. Still not going to be high scoring, I don't think, but I'm calling Steelers 24-10 over a very banged up Dallas Cowboys team. Let me know what you think in the comments. Let me know how wrong I am. If you're a Cowboys fan or if you're a pessimistic Steelers fan, tell me why you think they're not going to do it. And we'll reconvene here. I'll be back on this YouTube channel on Sunday after the game with a post-game special guest. We'll keep that a secret. Maybe we'll reveal it later. I don't know. Until then, like I said, subscribe, hit that bell for notifications. Check out my written work at SteelersNow.com. And until next time, enjoy.